The following program is rated TV PG.
Ronnie Coleman! Ronnie Coleman!
Welcome to the Orleans Arena in Las Vegas and the 2005 Mr. Olympia competition. Hi, everyone. I'm Mike Adamley. This man, he needs no introduction, but I'll introduce him anyway. Triple H, you are looking good, my man. Looking very good.
Looking like only I can look, right?
This, the 40th anniversary of the Mr. Olympia competition. It promises to be bigger and better than ever. It will absolutely blow your mind, the guys that you're going to see tonight. And I know that you have great, immense respect for what these guys do.
Yeah, you know, I started bodybuilding when I was 14. I've been doing it my whole life. I competed when I was a teenager. So I have a little bit of an understanding of what these guys go through and the dedication, the training, the diet, the lifestyle that they have to lead to stand on this stage and show you the best physiques in the world is not to be believed. So I have unbelievable respect for these guys. They're some of the greatest athletes in the world.
The storyline tonight, Ronnie Coleman, he has a chance, quite frankly, to make some Mr. Olympia history.
Yeah, he does. Ronnie Coleman stands today at a 7-time winner. That ties him with Arnold Schwarzenegger. If he wins tonight, that makes him an 8-time champion, tied only with Lee Haney for the most wins in history. This is a pivotal night for Ronnie Coleman in his career.
Last year, he was challenged, and he was challenged quite closely by a man by the name of Jay Cutler.
Jay Cutler has been chomping at the heels of Ronnie Coleman now for quite a few years. I think tonight he edges even closer at the heels of Ronnie Coleman. It's going to be an interesting evening.
Several other men with their eyes on the prize. For more on that, we go backstage. Dan Solomon and former bodybuilding champion Sean Ray.
Thanks, Mike. I am standing in the pump-up room at the Mr. Olympia. Shortly, we will be surrounded by one of the most impressive collections of muscle ever assembled. And joining me tonight to break down the rest of the field, my co-host, bodybuilding great Sean Ray.
Thanks, Dan. Pleasure to be here. I spent 13 years of my life on this stage. This is one of the years I'm glad I'm back here where it's safe. These guys are big with a capital B, and they're also getting a lot more symmetrical and defined. This is going to be a tough competition.
Well, earlier, Triple H and Mike broke down the battle that will ensue tonight between Ronnie Coleman and Jay Cutler. But Gustavo Badell did some damage last year, and he's back for more.
Well, he definitely came on hot and heavy. This guy 2 years ago wasn't even in the top 10 of the competition. Comes back, beats Dexter Jackson in the challenge round, winds up in third place, goes on to win the Pro Ironman Championships, all the way from Puerto Rico, decided to move to Las Vegas so he can climb up that ladder.
It has also been said that one of the few guys in the world that can actually stand next to Ronnie Coleman in terms of overall muscularity is Marcus Rule.
Marcus Rule is a monster. This guy came in and won the Freakazoid Award and $10,000 for muscular development last year. He's one of the few 300-pound bodybuilders that can stand toe-to-toe with somebody like Ronnie Coleman.
Another big giant, Gunther Schlierkamp, actually pulled off an upset over Ronnie Coleman back in 2002.
Well, speaking of 300-pounders, this is another guy, 305 pounds plus, a couple of top 5 finishes. Last year slipped down to 6th place, but rumor has it this guy's done his homework and sharpened up his physique, and he wants to stand there with Ronnie and Jay.
Alexander Fedorov hopped on a long flight and came all the way over from Russia, and there has been more hype on this guy than anybody in recent history. Talk about him.
Well, he's also the youngest competitor at 27 years old from St. Petersburg, Russia. Suffered a couple pec tears, came back here, qualified for the Mr. Olympia. This is his first time. Actually, the first time we have a Russian bodybuilder in this competition.
Let's go over to Jennifer Nicole Lee, who's standing by, and she's going to talk about who's not here tonight.
Thanks, guys. Okay, we know who is here, but on the opposite side of the coin, it's always interesting to know who is not here. Dexter Jackson after placing 4th last year. He was very upset, and he is a no-show. He's in great shape, but he's not here to compete. Also, Ahmad Haidar is expecting a baby with his wife. So there's a lot in store, so take it back to you, Mike and Triple H.
Send imagination a done deal.
No question about it. And once again, I will welcome you because tonight we're in an interesting situation. I have an IFB in my ear, which is telling me one thing. I have the audience here, which is telling me quite another. So we're doing two kind of shows tonight, one for the audience here and one for pay-per-view TV.
Just let me clarify for me, I've got an IFB, but I don't care. I'm just here for you.
As it should be.
White guy high five, yeah.
Let's go back to the Ronnie Coleman issue again, one more time. We talked about Ronnie, a chance to make history. Is there a man among the other contenders who has a chance to defeat the King?
You ask me, ask them. What do you think? Can Ronnie Coleman be beaten? Because I saw Jay Cutler this morning, he looked unbelievable. I saw Gunter, he looked unbelievable. I saw Gustavo Badell, I saw a lot of guys that looked like at any moment they could take Ronnie Coleman off that pedestal.
You know, Triple H, every year we say the same thing at the Mr. Olympia. It is bigger and better than ever. But if you take a look at the athletes we have seen for the last 2 days, especially this morning at the pre-judging competition, I don't think there's any question whatsoever that these guys have come in their absolute best shape of their life.
No, there's not a guy on that stage tonight that doesn't understand that this is the biggest show in bodybuilding, and they all came to play tonight. Everybody is in phenomenal shape, and you're in for one hell of a night.
Indeed, we are. So let's get it on. Now, we've got a full agenda, a full slate of wonderful, wonderful things happening here at the Orleans Arena. Before we get to our main event, one of the things that we want to take care of is the Gakich Bench Press competition, which was held yesterday at the Las Vegas Convention Center. And let's take a look at some of the highlights.
The format in NFL Combine style, reps of 225. Keep on pumping until the lactic acid sets in. Nasser Savani went first for Team Weider and checked in with a modest 15 reps. Up next, Justin Brooks of Team Muscle Tech. He was rip-roaring to go and didn't stop until he completed 24 repetitions. Another Weider athlete came up, and that was Derek Downing. And he looked strong, long and strong. He didn't finish until he completed 32 repetitions. That was the mark to beat. Up next, Sebastian Zona of Muscle Tech. He checked in with 42 repetitions. How do you like me now? He was no lock, though, because up next from Team Weider, Phil Heath. Guess what? When you top 42, he topped 42 by 4 repetitions. Phil Heath checking in with 46 reps. Last but not least, Jerry Freeman from Muscle Tech. Did he have enough to go the distance? He did, and then some. 46 reps of Phil Heath went by in a flash. Jeremy Freeman winning the competition with 54 repetitions. Team Muscle Tech winning the day 120 reps to 93.
Speaking of bench press, I want you to turn your attention to my right, stage right, your left, because we're going to bring on Gene Richlick. He will try for a world record in the bench press. He's the winner of the 2004 Arnold Classic Super Heavyweight Bench Press competition. On November 21st, 2004 in Pennsylvania, Big Gene pressed 1,005 pounds, become the first and only man ever to bench over 1,000 pounds. Think about that, 1,000 pounds. And tonight, he is going to try to break that record. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Gene Richlick. Triple H, it's all yours. Take it over, Triple H. Give it another shot.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Gene. That was one hell of an attempt at a weight that would crush just about anybody else in this building. Let's give him a big hands. That was 1,015 pounds and a human being under that bar. Guys, we need to head back over to Mike. Take it away.
All right. Is he going to try it again, Triple H?
No, he is not in a bench pressing mode, I believe, right now. I believe that he's just had 1,000 pounds crush his spleen. So we should just go on to the rest of the show.
We will, but not before giving Gene a huge hand. He still owns the record, 1,005 pounds, Gene Ricklick. All right, we're going to start the main event, the free posing round. And keep in mind, as the athletes make their way onto this stage tonight, the scoreboard above will show you each athlete's score from the pre-judging round held earlier today. Now, at this point, the lower the score indicated, the better the score is. With that in mind, let's get it on. Our first competitor, wearing number 1, and he comes into tonight's competition with 135 points, and he was the winner of last night's wild card competition. We had 9 guys competing for one spot, and he dazzled everybody. Please welcome David Henry.
There is strength deep inside me that I never knew I had. There's a fire within, burning bright. There is a love inside of me that I never thought I'd feel until the day you came into my life. Yeah, and it was you that were there when no
and gentlemen, David Henry. This is his sixth competition of the year. And he finally broke through last night, and he certainly broke through with that routine. Up next, he comes into tonight's competition, a man among men. He is huge, 5'11", 285 pounds. Last year, he came in 5th place and was tough to touch during the most muscular pose during the challenge round. One of the biggest guys you'll ever see, so feast your eyes on Germany's own Markus Rühl.
Competing in his 6th Mr. Olympia, Markus Rühl comes in at about 5'10", flirting with 300 pounds once again, and he qualified to be here with a top 5 spot at last year's Mr. Olympia. And Sean, Markus Rühl has not yet competed in 2005.
No, and you know what? This guy, right out of the box, I'm going to tell you, Dan, he won the Freakazoid Award last year and $10,000 to go with it, but he's not what he looked like last year from where I'm sitting right now. He is a newlywed, I'll give him that, and he did have to travel all the way from Germany. But this is the Mr. Olympia, and we have seen Markus a little bit better, if you can believe that or not. But I don't know. He looks a little bit off here tonight.
Sean, and looking at Markus' structure, he is a living, breathing caricature of what a bodybuilder is supposed to look like, or at least is perceived to look like. He's the only guy who could match Ronnie in the most muscular, not the prettiest physique in the world, but it was widely felt that the IFBB advisory, the symmetry advisory, was more or less the anti-Rühl advisory.
Well, you know what? Regardless of any kind of rule that's out there, this is Markus Rühl, and he's got his legions of fans, and he built those legions of fans, Dan, off of the fact that he is the biggest and the freakiest. He's not going to be able to change that look for anybody, and nor should he.
Markus debuted at the Olympia in 1999, where he took 12th, and he improved the following year all the way up to 7th. Last year he finished 5th. This afternoon at the preliminary judging, it was hard to get a handle on where he might finish tonight, but I don't think he's heading northward.
Well, I can tell you, he's holding a little bit of water, most notably in the hamstrings and the lower back. This guy's raised the bar so high for a big man that if he's slightly off, he could stumble a few placements, Dan. He's that big.
Well, Markus is certainly the poster model for the proverbial mass monster. I'm not sure if that's exactly the direction of bodybuilding or if that's the future of bodybuilding, but he is a crowd favorite and he's got a big fan base.
Well, regardless, this guy's not going to be able to change what he's got to work with. This size, that mass, that's who Markus Rühl is. Rules or no rules, he thinks and believes that this is bodybuilding, and building the body as big as you can humanly possibly get it is why we know who Markus Rühl is today. He just happened to miss his peak in terms of condition because we've seen him harder.
In the sport of professional bodybuilding, we often hear the term apples and oranges, and of course I know the defending champion Ronnie Coleman jokes about that often, that he's the apples and everybody else is oranges, as if to say aesthetics and symmetry are the oranges. And
well, this guy right here is a watermelon because he's the biggest fruit that we have in this business as far as size is concerned. Again, he's only missing his mark by, from my expert opinion, probably about 2 weeks or more worth of dieting. He would be the Markus Rühl of the last time that we saw him when he got 5th in the Mr. Olympia. Now Markus is going to play. Mind you, when they're saying Rühl, they're not booing. These guys are here to see muscle as well as size, shape, and symmetry. His fans come from all over the world as well, Dan.
Markus has a big fan base, and you know, a lot of people are quick to point out that Marcus's physique is not ideal.
Markus Rühl. Our next competitor was one of the stars at Thursday's press conference. He was calling everybody out. 5th place at the Arnold Classic this year, 4th place at the Ironman Pro. He finished 9th here 2 years ago. Hasn't missed a pose down in any contest he's entered. He's someone to watch out for in tonight's competition. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Marvelous Melvin Anthony.
Well, Well, as Mike explained, Melvin Anthony is the winner of the 2004 Night of Champions. He earned the right to compete as a professional back in 1999 when he captured the overall at the NPC USAs. And Sean, when it comes to shoulder-to-waist ratio, this guy is unsurpassed.
He's got one of the smallest waists in the business. Melvin is all about shape and symmetry. More importantly, he's etched out a niche for himself as the best posing artist extraordinaire. He won the Best Poser Award at this competition a year ago and took a year off. He won $10,000. This year, that award is not available. We'll find out whether he keeps his game really high or whether he drops off a notch knowing the award's not available this year.
Well, bodybuilding fans spend a lot of money to attend these shows, and guys like Melvin Anthony do a lot to really elevate the entertainment value. They are masters in terms of presenting their physiques, and Melvin is graceful, to say the least.
Well, his strength is actually the transition from one pose to the next. You'll see a lot of guys up here tonight that are just going to jump up on stage and hit shots randomly with music that doesn't fit their physique. Melvin's a posing artist. He learned from the old school of posing from John Brown, Vince Taylor, myself, and Flex Wheeler, combined all of those personalities in with his own. And he knows how important it is not only to get from one pose to the next, but to hit those poses properly.
Sean, despite all the things Melvin has going for him, his extraordinary proportions, his symmetry, he does struggle oftentimes with conditioning. Oftentimes he carries a somewhat damaging layer of water.
Yeah, he's still trying to fine-tune and hit that peak. It takes years sometimes, and if you're only competing in one show a year, this is the only place you have an opportunity to make that mistake. Melvin's changed his training, he's changed his diet, he signed a new contract with Biotech Nutritional, so he's trying new products to try to tie in the diet, the training, as well as getting that hard look, the hard, grainy look.
For Melvin, this is his third Olympia. He finished 11th in his debut in 2001, improved to 9th in 2003. Sean, last year he decided to opt out of the show, and he's back, and it looks like he's heading in the right direction.
Well, he's definitely better than the last time he was on stage, and he's about to get into what he's known for, his signature poses, which is all about entertainment. He's going to do some things here, Dan, that nobody else can do but Melvin Anthony, which sets him apart from the rest in this industry, and that is entertain these fans.
Now, there's definitely an entertainment component to bodybuilding. We can spend all day talking about physiques and structure, but moves like that make it really fun to be a bodybuilding fan.
Well, the bottom line is Melvin is an entertainer. He's a fun, energetic guy. He takes the sport of bodybuilding very serious. He's getting into real estate, Dan. He's married, lives in San Bernardino. And again, this is a guy that's been around some old-time veterans, and he's stolen a little bit of moves from here and there. That looked like one of your old moves. But this guy's here to actually break into that top six. So forget the entertainment. This guy is still a competitor and hungry at heart.
And he takes his posing very, very seriously. In fact, in years past, there's actually been a Best Presentation Award given out at this very show, and I know he's claimed it in the past, and it's something that he does not take lightly. A lot of guys take their strengths and just accept that they're good at something and leave it at that, but for Melvin, he continues to try to improve his craft and try to work on new moves and perform the best that he can.
There's that flexibility factor for marvelous Melvin Anthony.
Never let it be said that Melvin Anthony didn't leave it all on the stage. Woo! Not only does he talk the talk, he walks the walk, baby. Melvin Anthony. An amazing story behind our next competitor. As an innocent bystander, he was shot 3 times and he survived, earning him the nickname Bulletproof. He took 3rd at the Charlotte Pro Show earlier this month to qualify for his second shot at Mr. Olympia. Born in Lebanon and now living in Rochester, New York, you gotta give it up for George Farrar.
Dan, this is a guy that took a couple of bullets to the chest, and he's here for a second Mr. Olympia.
Sean, as the story goes, he survived as an innocent bystander being shot 3 times in the stomach during a 1997 robbery attempt, and this is just his 3rd year as a pro, and he's actually more than held his own. He's added some size, and he's actually one of the more confident guys out there, Sean.
Well, Dan, you got to remember, too, a year ago, this guy was training in the gym, and the whole machine came down on his head, and it had to be stapled shut. So just to get back here is a feat amongst itself. Qualified by getting third at the Charlotte Pro. I predicted the guy was never going to make it back here just for the bad luck the guy was having. But heck, getting here for the second time, he didn't come the easy route.
Well, he comes in at 5'6", weighs about 215 contest weight. This is his second Mr. Olympia. I know George, we spoke to him before the show. He was thrilled to be back here. He was like a kid in a candy store.
Yeah, and he's got a few things that are working against him, Dan. He's not one of the bigger guys. He's not known for his symmetry. But you know what? When he hits the poses, he hits them properly. And that is, he's able to hold his own against some of the other guys that don't know how to hit those poses properly.
Well, he is regarded for one of the better back double biceps among the smaller guys, and he actually has some real nice lines, and through the midsection, obviously he suffers from the remnants of that scar from his incident, but if you're able to look past that, you'll see George has a fairly balanced physique.
Well, I'll give him credit. To his credit, being a former national champion, he's a lot better now as a professional than he ever was as an amateur, and you know what it takes, Dan, to try to get to this level of competition and earn that pro card. I mean, the nationals are deep. I know at the USA there was 300 competitors in that show alone. Here we've got about 20 of the best in the world, and George Farrar is amongst them.
Well, we have a capacity crowd here at the Mr. Olympia. The fans have packed the house here at the Orleans, and backstage the guys are continuing to warm up to make their way out. You will see the top 15 perform, and we'll bring all that to you here live at the 2005 Joe Eater's Mr. Olympia. This is the 40th edition. You are watching George Farrar. Sean, I got to ask you, we talk about the structural differences. George has very nice lines. He doesn't pack a ton of size.
No, but he's here, and that's the most important. There's a lot of bodybuilders out there at home watching George Farrar on television right now wishing they could trade places. So he's done enough with what he has to work with, and he's legitimately one of the top bodybuilders in the world, regardless of the lack of genetics.
And that's a great point. This is not only the World Championships of professional bodybuilding, but it's also its all-star game. And for a lot of these guys, it's not about coming here to win a Sandow Trophy. It's about just arriving here and having that opportunity to compete on this stage.
Remind you, this guy comes from war-torn Lebanon, former home of Samir Banu, and he's posing in front of over 5,000 fans and thousands of people watching at home.
And there are a few guys who have more fun at what they do.
George Farrar.
The pride and joy of Lebanon, now living in Rochester, New York, George Farrar. Our next competitor is making his 6th Mr. Olympia appearance. He has been in the top 10 in the last 4 years here. He was 4th 2 years ago, and he qualified here tonight by placing 2nd at the Charlotte Pro earlier this month. Ladies and gentlemen, from Germany, Dennis James.
Well, as Mike explained, Dennis is here for his 6th Mr. Olympia contest. He did take 8th last year, and I know he had some heavy expectations for improving. In fact, he qualified for this event with a 2nd-place finish earlier this month, and he had said he was saving his best for the Olympia stage.
Well, this guy's well-traveled. He's not only from Germany, he spent a good stretch of his life over in Thailand. He's now working with All Stars Nutrition out of Germany. Came out of nowhere, surfaced at the Charlotte Pro, got his qualifier spot, and I haven't seen him bigger than this, Dan.
Well, there's certainly no shortage of muscle when it comes to Dennis. In fact, Dennis is one of these guys that notoriously peaks days or even weeks prior to an event. He has struggled in recent years to find that perfect formula to enable him to dial in on contest day. Sean, would you say that Dennis is dialed in today?
Well, he's the best that he's been on this stage in his 6 tries. Mind you, this guy was 4th a couple of years ago in this bodybuilding competition. I believe he actually looks better now than he did then, which is saying a lot, because in 2 weeks' time, this is a whole other bodybuilder from the one that qualified in Charlotte.
Well, he's certainly one of the more popular bodybuilders. In fact, it's interesting in looking at his structure and looking at his traps. Dennis actually explained once that he doesn't even train his traps. And Dennis is what you might describe as one of those freaks when you look at his natural musculature. He's got quite an impressive frame.
Well, with all the good things that he has working for his frame, what holds Dennis back is he has a tendency to get a little heavy, lose control of the midsection, which is what the Federation is talking about, penalizing the guys for. He's got relatively high lats, but he's got such a broad shoulder base that it actually makes his waist taper a little, the illusion of having it look smaller.
And He weighs in today at about 255 pounds on a 5'8" frame. He's 36 years old, and he's got one professional win to his credit. That was the 2001 Hungarian Pro, and I know there was a lot of people who felt like Dennis had seen his better days, but I know he ain't ready to give up.
Well, Dennis is one of those guys notorious for posting his pictures as he counts down to the Olympia on the internet. And on the internet, the guy looks like Mr. Olympia, notoriously misses his peak on the stage. Today, I believe he's replicated his last best performance of 4th place in terms of conditioning. However, that extra conditioning is coming at a price because he still hasn't got total control over the midsection, and the judges aren't going to miss that.
Yeah, in fact, Dennis might really be one of the guys who is singled out with the changes in the judging criteria. We haven't really talked much about it on this telecast, but the IFBB has really worked hard to do whatever they can to detract from the distended midsections. You get a look at that shot, you can see Dennis, for the most part, has worked hard on it, and he has brought his midsection down, but for the most part, there is some evidence, and I think the judges are going to mark him down.
Well, not only that, but he's standing against the best in the world here, Dan. There's guys like Melvin Anthony with 29-inch waists, and Darren Charles, and Craig Richardson, and Johnny Jackson. You get next to those guys with that shape, it's going to be hard for Dennis to hold his own. Pound for pound, muscle-wise, he's up there with the rules. He's up there with the Schlierkamps, but he doesn't have the exact total package nailed down, and it's only his 6th time. I'm sure he'll get it together soon. Dennis James, by way of Germany, bringing the beef.
The pride and precision of Dennis James. Our next competitor is from the Dominican Republic. He qualified here by placing 3rd at the New York Pro this year. He's in absolutely great shape and looks to improve on his 9th place rookie finish of a year ago here at Mr. Olympia. Making his 2nd appearance, give a big hand to Victor Martinez.
Well, Victor Martinez at 5'9", weighs in at about 240 pounds. He, of course, is the winner of that 2003 Night of Champions, came back and won that show of strength in 2004, and he is here as a result of a 3rd-place finish at this year's New York Pro.
Well, he's definitely got one of the top 10 physiques, Dan, although Ronnie Coleman seems to think that he's the guy that may ultimately inherit the throne. I don't think it's going to happen here tonight, and that's based on some previous shows that he's done where I actually believe he was a little bit sharper. And when I say a little bit sharper, it could be 5%, and that's just enough to keep you out of that top 5. But Victor did bring the muscle.
Something going on. I feel funny, can't tell me nothing different. My nose twitching, intuition setting in like Steve Vision. I still close my eyes, I still see vision. Still hear that voice in the back of my mind. So what I do, I still take heed.
Might have interfered with him peaking in this competition. He was 3rd in New York to qualify for this competition. But it is the Olympia. I mean, he did come up here to compete and try to challenge these guys. He definitely has one of the top 10 physiques. I don't doubt for a minute that he doesn't believe he's going to be standing there at the end.
Most feel that Victor Martinez is at his best when he is under 240 pounds, and I think that's where he came in tonight at about 238 pounds. He's considered a legitimate Mr. Olympia contender, whether it's this year or in years to come. He's definitely one of the guys that is being looked at as the guard changes and the heavyweights move on.
Well, he's definitely better than he was in New York. Got a lot tighter, but he's still that 5% off that he's going to need to be to crack this top 5. But you got to give your hat off. This guy's been through hell and back to get to the Mr. Olympia stage and compete against these guys tonight. He's had some legal issues that he's had to get over, but he's solved them. He's one of those guys, Dan, likes to get out there and party after a good contest. He's not shy, that's for sure.
Victor Martinez.
Victor Martinez.
Okay.
And folks, it just keeps on getting better. I realize that I am preaching to the choir here, but I think everybody needs to keep in mind, and I know this as a former professional athlete, these guys work so hard for so long for this singular moment in time that they deserve every ounce of energy you can give them. It really helps them as well, and I know that you'll keep that in mind. You always do. All right, our next competitor comes in tonight's competition. He's a rookie. His nickname, Quadrosaurus, precedes him. He won the Europa Super Show this year as well as the Charlotte Show earlier this month. And there's no telling, absolutely no telling, what he's going to bring to the show tonight. They grow him big in Texas, and he's living proof. From Keller, Texas, please welcome Branch Warren.
Well, Sean, if they're giving out an award for the most momentum, Branch Warren is certainly your winner. He's competed in just 4 professional events, and he's already won 2 of them.
Dan, to put it in perspective, he's 5'7", the same height as me. I competed at my best at 210. He's 240 pounds in shape, so you can imagine what he looks like in the offseason.
Well, he was criticized early on in his career for having a lower body that overpowered his upper body, but it seems like he is brought in the symmetry. He's got great balance, and he is hard as nails tonight.
Well, yesterday at the Olympia Weekend Expo at the Convention Center, this guy won $1,000 for the Comeback Bodybuilder of the Year. He never saw it coming, but man, when you win 2 shows rolling into the Mr. Olympia, you got to have some confidence, and he's certainly posing like he's confident tonight.
And he's won both shows he's entered this year, and he is just 30 years old. Kind of brings back memories, Sean, of starting off young, doesn't it?
Well, he's got a great training partner in Johnny Jackson, fellow IFBB pro. These 2 guys are some of the strongest animals we have for 5'7" and under. You can include Ronnie Coleman in that. I know Johnny Jackson's tried to challenge Ronnie a few times, and he takes that out on Branch, and Branch fires back. Look at those legs.
Yeah, those hamstrings and glute tie-ins, his lower back, and he's got tremendous width, and you'll see when he turns around, he brings that conditioning to the front side. A lot of these guys, they'll be tremendous to the front or tremendous to the back, but Branch puts on quite a show from both sides.
Well, what the knock on Branch right now is, I mean, sometimes trying to roll into the Olympia on those contests is to maintain that level of conditioning. You're only as good as the guys you stand next to. He's going to have his work cut out standing next to those genetic freaks tonight.
Well, he's got those nice feathered, striated quads, and he can hit a most muscular with the best of them. And at 30 years old, Branch Warren is a force to be reckoned with.
Well, there's a $10,000 Biotech Crazy Legs award that he's going after. Only a few competitors are in the running for that. Biotech has ponied up the $10,000 for the winner. Branch Warren looks like he's running in a close first or second for that award. Now, you know, the judges are looking for that shape and the symmetry, and they're going to try to really hammer that home. How does the symmetry look for Branch Warren, the guy walking around with 240 pounds at 5'7"?
Far more symmetrical than I thought. I actually had not attended the prior events where he had done well earlier this year, so I was not a believer until I arrived at prejudging this afternoon, and I saw and there was a ton of balance on Branch, and I was expecting much less in the way of conditioning. And when Branch turned around to the back and he hit those back shots and he had those hamstring and glute tie-ins, and then he turned around to the front and I saw those separations through his quads, I was very impressed.
Well, that's the thing. I think the front is not as detailed as it could be in terms of the midsection and the back. But those thighs, I mean, they're striated, cross-striated. He needs a little more back definition, but tonight he did bring it.
And this is Branch Warren's Olympia debut.
Cowboy up. Give it up for Branch Keller. You know, amazingly, at 6'1" and over 300 pounds, our next competitor is not the biggest or tallest person, but he's pretty darn close. He's also the only person to beat Ronnie Coleman during Ron's reign at the Olympia. That came at the 2002 GNC Show of Strength. What will he do this year? Because this man has improved every single time out. We're about to find out. His name, Gunther Schlierkamp.
The other German giant, I might add, at over 300 pounds, Dan.
The audience reaction says it all. Gunther Schlierkamp is certainly one of the most popular figures in the sport. He is now competing in his 8th Mr. Olympia. He weighs in at over 300 pounds. He's got one career win to his credit, but Sean, it was a big one.
It was a monster, and he's actually made a career out of that. Granted, he did beat Ronnie Coleman. He did come back. Ronnie flew all the way in from Holland to get upset by Gunther Schlierkamp, the golden boy of bodybuilding, gracing the covers of Flex magazine. But you know what? Tonight, it looks like he's brought the package that may be able to crack that top 4.
You know, it's interesting. Last year, he made his way into the top 6, somewhat controversially. A lot of people didn't feel like he belonged in that group. But and then when the challenge round ensued, he lost every challenge comparison. But I know he was back. He was on a mission to prove some folks wrong.
But I think part of losing those poses, Dan, didn't have to do with the fact that he's not a great bodybuilder. He wasn't in condition. And if you're not in condition, you can get beat by everybody, which happened to Gunther a year ago. Tonight, we're going to see a different result, I believe, because Gunther is markedly in better condition than he was a year ago.
Well, I know a lot of his critics really wanted to see him bring down his waistline. Obviously, he does have some structural challenges. His hips are a bit wide, so it does make it a little bit more difficult.
Well, you know what? When you have those structural flaws, you hire the best guys that can help you get there. He's working with Charles Glass. He's working with Chad Nichols. This guy brought back the old team that helped them beat Ronnie Coleman. And at 6 feet tall and 300 pounds, that's a lot of muscle you got to carry. To diet down to 300 pounds, what does he bulk up to?
And it's funny because a lot of people talk about marketability in bodybuilding, and this guy, the cameras love him, the fans love him, and if he were to win tonight, the sport could certainly do a whole lot worse in terms of promotion and marketability.
Well, he's another guy like Dorian Yates and even Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's maximized what he's had to work with. I mean, he's not a genetic freak. Whatever a bit of muscle he's got, Dan, he's had to earn. I'm glad he switched up on the music and went with more powerful music to match his physique, because he's notably for posing to softer, gentler music.
I mean, I think you got to just have some self-awareness for Gunther. For those people who know him, they know he was very gentle, but physically he's far from gentle. He's a giant in the sport, and he needed some powerful music.
Well, all he had to do, Dan, was bring the conditioning back, and he brought the conditioning back, which is what got him to the Olympia in the first place. By the way, when he came in that year and wound up in 5th place, that was on an invitation. He wasn't even qualified. So to get invited to the Olympia, make the top 5, 2 weeks later upset Mr. Olympia, and wind up staying in the top 5, this guy means business. It's one thing to place top 5, another thing to fall out of it. He's back.
And it was in 2001 where he finished 15th, and since then he's decided to get serious, and he has remained a force in this sport now for about 4 consecutive years.
It's hard enough to leave home, Dan, but to leave all the way to California and train at the mecca of bodybuilding, this guy's living the same dream that Arnold Schwarzenegger lived.
Yeah, he's one of these guys who really credits Joe Weider, of course, the founder of this event, for a lot of his success.
Gunther Schlierkamp.
Epic stuff from Gunther Schlierkamp. Our next competitor qualified at this year's Mr. Olympia by placing 2nd at this year's Toronto Pro. He was born in New Jersey and now resides in Fort Worth, Texas. He is known for his intensely insane workouts. At 5'8", 235, he's making his 3rd appearance here in Las Vegas. Got to give it up for Johnny Jackson.
Sean, I like to call this guy Mr. Potential. He packs a ton of muscle. As Mike Adamley pointed out, he is one of the stronger guys out there. In fact, many people feel he has the best traps in bodybuilding. And Ronnie Coleman aside, in fact, maybe Ronnie Coleman included.
One of the few guys to continue getting 2nd. You know what that does to a bodybuilder? It drives him crazy. It drives him to get in better shape. This guy was 2nd in Toronto. This guy was 2nd in Orlando. This guy was 2nd in Dallas, Texas. This guy wants to make a name for himself. Tonight, his condition isn't what it was a couple of weeks ago, but he definitely deserved to be in the top 10.
Well, he's competed in his 3rd career Mr. Olympia. He has not finished higher than 11th. That was back in 2003. He's been a pro since winning the overall of the 2001 NPC Nationals. And Sean, as we talked about earlier, he is a perennial runner-up at some of the other events, so I know he's hungry and he's ready to make his impact and make his mark on this show.
I'll tell you, man, being second place, that's sometimes the best medicine. But when you're at the Mr. Olympia, cracking the top 10, cracking the top 5, I mean, you're always starting over, Dan. And this is only his third Mr. Olympia contest. This is something the guy's dreamed about. You don't get here by wishful thinking. But he definitely looks hard, he looks dry. His training style, although it's a radical different from mine, it works for him. He's a powerful bodybuilder, and it shows.
Sean, do you find when you look around professional bodybuilding, I know you know a lot of the guys and you stay in touch with them, do you find that there's a lot of very differing styles in the standpoint of training?
Yeah, you got to remember, Dan, everybody has their own journey to tell when they get to this Mr. Olympia contest. They diet differently, they train differently. Some guys train twice a day, others train 3 times a week, as Dexter Jackson. Johnny Jackson has his own style, and it's heavy and it's hard, and he trains at Branch Warren in the heat in Texas where it's hot and it's humid. The knock on Johnny is he needs bigger calves. He needs a little bit more thigh sweep to go with those upper traps that he's got. I mean, those are things that take years sometimes to develop. When you get to this level, it's not what you have, it's what you're missing.
Yeah, you made a great point. In bodybuilding, it's often your glaring weaknesses that are the focus from a judging standpoint. Obviously, Johnny Jackson has tremendous thickness through his pecs. His traps are tremendous. His back is very thick. But the minute you're able to identify a weakness, that's when you knock him down.
Yeah, and you know what? Year to year, the judges are looking to see if you're bringing those weaknesses up. More importantly, what works for Johnny Jackson, what keeps him in the top of these competitions, is that he comes in shape. They have to reward that, regardless of the weaknesses that he's still working on. His conditioning is always spot on.
Yeah, as far as aesthetics and symmetry, he definitely foots the bill.
Surprisingly soft-spoken, too, for a guy this big and powerful. Johnny Jackson from Texas.
Johnny Jackson, a style all his own. Well, as all of you know, last year's show was the closest finish that we have ever seen in Mr. Olympia history. And not since 1998 has the point difference between first and second been so close. He has been runner-up to Ronnie Coleman 3 times and is looking to change all that this evening. He lives and works just minutes from here in Las Vegas. Las Vegas's very own Jay Cutler.
Back in 2001, after the preliminary judging, Jay Cutler actually led Ronnie Coleman, and it looked like he was on his way to pulling off a miraculous miracle win. And when the final scores were tallied at the end of the night, Ronnie edged him out by a few points, but Jay Cutler is here to take care of some business.
Yeah, this guy's confident, and he's a performer.
He won the symmetry round, the muscularity round. He received bonus points for his V-taper and chiseled waist, and the pre-contest interview round.
As the 11th Mr. Olympia, I'll be elated to articulately introduce the greatest sport to the mainstream masses.
Cut that. Pi?
Pi equals 22 over 7, 3.14.
Well, we talked about creativity in the posing routine and the posing round. Jay Cutler has been criticized in the past, but he brought it today.
Well, the bottom line is, look at him. He's markedly improved from last year. They don't call him a cut above for no other reason than the fact that this guy gets sliced.
Jay Cutler is spot on, hard as nails. When he turns to the front, you will see tremendous separation through his quads, and when he turns around, he had been criticized heavily in the past for not being able to get conditioned and drive through the hamstrings and the glutes. When he goes into that lat spread, which he'll do momentarily, you will see that the backside poses have really come up.
Well, when you got to stand next to Ronnie Coleman, you better be doing your homework on the back. That's been the knock on Jay. He's got everything, but when you turn to the back, it's Goodnight Gracie. What I'm looking at right now is a different Jay Cutler than a year ago. This is the 3-time Arnold Classic champion. He's poised to take over from Ronnie Coleman. You're not going to do that by out-muscling Ronnie. You you got to get in shape. Jay took a full year off, skipped the Arnold Classic. Dexter Jackson slid in there to win that competition. Jay never missed a beat. As a matter of fact, on the day of the Arnold Classic, Jay was in the gym training for this year Mr. Olympia.
Sean, before the contest, Jay actually said, I will have a midsection that no one weighing over 270 pounds has ever had. I'll have no distension whatsoever, and I'm pretty sure that's a shot directly at Ronnie.
Yeah, and he's tailored his music. He's talking to his people. This guy's confident. Jay's posing was never really anything to look at until the last couple of years. The closer he gets to that Olympia title, the more effort you see him putting forth in his routines.
Well, back in 2001 when he came up short, he took a lot of criticism for the posing, so he realized he needed to take that very seriously.
Jay Cutler from Las Vegas.
Jay Cutler. You know, we talk about the word focus a lot in sports, so much so that it's become a cliche, but to be able to pull off what Jay Cutler just did, in fact, what all these athletes just do, requires a ton of focus, and that's all you'll see backstage. It's incredible. All right. Our next competitor, whether you see him on the street or see him at Gold's Gym in Venice, California, I really believe he's one of the true ambassadors of the sport of bodybuilding. This will be his 10th Mr. Olympia appearance, second only to Ronnie Coleman. He qualified by placing second this year at the Dutch Grand Prix. He placed second at last year's Arnold Classic. You know who he is, the real deal, Chris Cormier.
Well, Dan, when you're talking about guys that bring it to the stage, this guy right here, he enjoys what he does.
And he's done it over and over again. In fact, Mike Adamley just pointed out that this is his 10th Olympia appearance. However, this might blow you away. This is Chris Cormier's 70th professional event.
He likes what he does. That's clear by the number of shows he competes in. They call him the real deal. This guy's been second 5 consecutive years at the Arnold Classic. This is his 10th Olympia. Ironically, this guy's only been able to bust the top 5 in 2 of those attempts. Dan, is this the same Chris Cormier we saw back in March?
Unfortunately for Chris, this afternoon at prejudging, he showed up carrying some water. I do not think this is going to be the year that Chris climbs the top of the food chain. He's certainly not going to make his way into that top 6. At least that's the way the call-outs seem to play out. His best pose is his abdominal and thigh shot. You know, we talked earlier about some of the strengths of some of the guys and some of the weaknesses, but for Chris Cormier, he really has no weakness.
Well, I think the only weakness that I can relate to is a mental weakness. This is the Olympia. You got to bring it every single year. And with 10 tries at this show, only 2 top 5 placements, something's getting lost. I'm not sure if he needs to sit out that Arnold Classic and save up for the Olympia, the biggest show on earth, to really give Ronnie and Jay a run for their money. But you know what? If you're going to peak in March and you're going to miss your peak in October, the Olympia is a contest you might want to pass on. But I think this guy wants to be Mr. Olympia. So I think he might want to sit out that Arnold Classic, get serious about the Olympia, and break into that top 3 and do some damage.
Hey, why don't you give me one of those Chris Cormiers?
Well, for Chris, he's won pretty much everything there is to win in professional bodybuilding. Unfortunately for him, he's more known for the shows that he has not won. And of course, he's finished runner-up at the Arnold Classic 6 consecutive years, and he hasn't reached the pinnacle of this show either.
Well, you know, you got guys like Ronnie and Jay focusing on the Mr. Olympia. It's not a party for them. They're here to pick up that first place, but more importantly, Dan, they want to hang on to that Sandow trophy. Jay's trying to get it from Ronnie. Ronnie's trying to hang on from it. Chris, with all the genetics, is cruising into these contests, I believe. I just think that his focus has got to get more serious. He's notably watery in the hamstrings and the back, but this is where he likes to thrive in his showmanship.
Chris wants it to be known that he'll be holding Macarena lessons about 10 minutes after tonight's show. All right, our next competitor is making his third Mr. Olympia appearance. He placed 24th last year and came in and he shocked everyone with his amazing physique. He placed third. This year he's bigger than ever. He won the Ironman Pro and won third at the Arnold Classic. He was third a year ago. Gustavo Badell.
Well, at every Mr. Olympia, there is a storyline, and certainly at last year's show, the storyline was Gustavo Badell coming out of nowhere. In 2002, he finished 24th, took the year off. He came back last year, finished third.
And he also got the name the freaking Puerto Rican, now living in Las Vegas. That's how serious he is about this show.
On the 40th anniversary, Larry Scott.
He's hitting the signature poses of former Mr. Olympias.
Sergio Oliva.
There's only been 10 Olympia champions in the 40-year history, Dan.
And there's talk that Gustavo Badell at some point might actually become the 11th.
Arnold Schwarzenegger poses there.
Franco Colombo.
He resembles him in that shot, Dan.
Chris Dickerson.
Chris Dickerson, the oldest Mr. Olympia at 42 years old back in 1982.
Samir Banu.
The Lion of Lebanon won the Mr. Olympia in 1983, Dan.
Lee Haney.
You know, a lot of times we don't fully appreciate the historical appreciation that these athletes have for the guys who came before them.
Lee Haney, 1984 to 1991.
Dorian Yates.
Six-time former Mr. Olympia from England, Dorian Yates from 1992 to 1997, Dan.
And Dorian Yates is in the house. I'm sure he's appreciated it, as are some of the other past Olympias.
Ronnie Coleman.
And now, the biggest Mr. Olympia. Gustavo working it like Ronnie Coleman.
You know, Sean, I gotta tell you, I think he's mocking Big Ron. I don't think there was a whole lot of respect in that display.
He challenged him at the press conference, Dan, and Ronnie Coleman didn't want to do it.
Well, Ronnie was quick to point out that Gustavo had not earned the stripes to warrant him disrobing and going face-to-face with him there in the press conference.
Ronnie said he was saving it for the stage, but I tell you what, Gustavo has not missed a beat. He didn't sit back on his laurels after placing third, and that was no accident. This guy was one of the most improved bodybuilders, went on to win the Pro Ironman of 2005 and get that $10,000 first prize and come all the way back here, relocate to Las Vegas to train next to Jay Cutler.
And Gustavo bringing some of that Latino flavor here to Las Vegas tonight. Of course, he was one of the guys who really capitalized on that challenge round last year. He entered the challenge round in roughly fourth place, and he ended up leapfrogging Dexter to finish third.
That's right, the father of two, Gustavo Badell from Puerto Rico.
Yeah, buddy, Gustavo Badell. Is this the look of a champion? Impressive stuff. Our next competitor qualified for this year's Mr. O by winning the New York Pro, an event he's won the last 2 years. He's on a real winning streak with 2 pro wins this year and 4 within the last 2 years. Everybody knows this guy. He's a great competitor. Please welcome from Trinidad, Derem Charles.
It's a tough name to get off your lips there, brother. Derem Charles from Florida, Dan.
Well, for Derem Charles, his career spans 14 professional years. As Mike Adamley pointed out, he has 6 professional wins to his credit, including wins in each of the past 4 years. But for some reason, despite all of his success, the Mr. Olympia has yet to be kind to Derem Charles.
Well, he is sitting pretty right now on the cover of Flex magazine, and internationally known bodybuilding Bible book.
Regarded as one of the greatest performers in the sport, he takes his posing and performance very seriously.
He also won the Best Presentation Award 2 years ago, Dan. Or as a matter of fact, it was a year ago that he won the $10,000 Best Presentation Award. And he added that to the other $10,000 wins in Toronto and in New York.
Well, interestingly enough, early on in his career, Darren was often criticized for not having enough size to compete with the big guys. He actually won an event in 2003 in Rome where he defeated Marcus Rule, and recently he's added some size, but then he's been criticized for that as well. So it seems like Darren Charles can't win.
No, he can win. He's actually combined the added size and the condition tonight in this show, and he will beat Marcus Rule from where I'm sitting. The mandate was shape and symmetry. Darren has that in spades. Sometimes he does get lost in the shuffle because of the larger, bigger bodybuilders, but he's got a pretty physique, and I think we need to see more of these. There's no shortage of personality, Dan.
Well, I know Darren has a large contingency of fans watching back home in South Florida. He has asked me specifically to send his appreciation and love for all of his fans who are gathered around the TV down there in South Florida. Darren is certainly one of the crowd favorites, and perhaps this will be the year that he finally gets some respect here.
Well, he's got a new contract with Muscle Tech. The guy's wife's here, Kim, and his son is here. I mean, this guy's a complete package. He actually has a job, Dan, and he does this. He doesn't moonlight. He takes this serious. This guy's a complete, well-balanced individual.
Darren picked up his first professional win of 2002 in Texas at the Southwest Pro Cup. 2004, he won the Extreme Pro Challenge in Orlando. He won back-to-back Toronto Pro Invitational titles, and as Mike pointed out, 2005, earlier this year, he won the New York Pro as well.
Well, he's in shape. He's got to bring up his hamstrings, Dan. That's one knock that the guy's got, but he's also got the best biceps for a guy his size. Some of the best set of abs. I mean, for every strength he has, there's a small knock that you can pick him apart. The calves are a little bit high, the hamstrings are a little bit shallow. But these are things, he's one of the younger bodybuilders. I know he's been around. He got there fast. He did get there the old-fashioned way, the hard way. But he's kept his lines along with the added size. I can appreciate that along with the conditioning. Not everybody can have hamstrings like Ronnie Coleman.
Well, he's playing the crowd up tonight here in Las Vegas at the Orleans Arena, and every time he comes out, he's got some new move to show off. And it's interesting, we talk about some of the guys who can't get into shape, he can't dial in each time, and it seems like Darren, whenever he shows up, he's just in tremendous condition.
Well, he's done numerous shows. He's just got it down to a science. Yes, adding size, sometimes you lose detail. Tonight, he combined the two. Darren Charles from Florida.
Ladies and gentlemen, Darren Charles. Our next competitor is from Jordan and qualified to be here tonight by placing third at the 2004 Holland Grand Prix. He placed 17th a year ago here and is looking to better that this year. He placed fourth at the Charlotte Pro earlier this month. Please welcome to the stage Mustafa Mohammed.
There's the smoke, Dan. The anticipation of it all. And where there's smoke, there's fire. Mohammed Mustafa from Jordan, now living in Austria, was here a year ago, missed his peak, wound up in the hospital, Dan.
Mustafa Mohammed, his quad sweep is incredible. We talk about some of the guys who have the thicker legs, but when Mustafa goes into full stride and he hammers those legs, they are a sight to be seen.
As well, his posing is a sight to be seen. This is a very artistic, unique poser for a man his size, carrying those quads, which have actually almost hurt him because they are so big that they overpower his upper body. But he's working with Milo Sarchev, comes out and stays with him from time to time in Fullerton, California, and trains at his gym, the Coliseum Gym. And he spends a lot of time away from his family just so that he can make it here to this stage.
Well, Mustafa took third place at last year's Holland Championships, and in that contest, Sean, he actually finished ahead of both Marcus Rule and Chris Din.
Well, that's where he qualified for this show here tonight. He also wound up in May competing in the Night of Champions in New York, which I believe was a mistake because it's a long stretch from May to October, and it looks like in the hamstrings and the lower back area, he's holding a little water, but his calves and his thighs and his deltoids are on point tonight.
Now, when it comes to sheer muscle, like quads, pecs, and through the arms, if he dials in his conditioning, he is very dangerous. Mustafa is a 1992 Mr. Universe.
He also owns and runs his own gym. He's got 3 kids at home in Austria, flies back and forth to Jordan via California as well, and manages to get in this shape. He's in the running for that $10,000 Biotech Crazy Legs Award. There's probably 3 or 4 guys that can win that. He's one of them.
Fortunately, he's also one of those guys that faces some of those structural challenges, and you know, it's unfortunate because he can get into shape all day long, but when those limitations are there, sometimes he can just climb so high.
Well, you know what, and we only really know about Mustafa via his legs. He played to his strengths like Tom Platz of the days of old. Unfortunately, his strength is overpowering the rest of his body. And to bring that upper body up to par with his legs, he's going to need a little bit more time.
He still has some time. He's 38 years old, 5'8", about 250 pounds tonight, and this is his second Mr. Olympia appearance. And as he performs to Andrea Bocelli, his physique certainly is presented masterfully.
And you know what? He pays attention to posing. This is a guy that practices relentlessly to his posing, and it shows on stage. You can see the guys that really pay attention to entertaining. They got the screens on the stage, Dan, and sometimes they look to see what it looks like because you don't see it till the playback months, sometimes a week later when they edit it. So it's nice to have these big, giant screens where they can look and see their back, sometimes for the first time.
Well, he certainly has captured this capacity crowd's attention, and regardless of where he finishes, he certainly has left his mark here.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mustafa Mohammed. They like you, Mustafa. They like you. All right. What can we say about this next man that hasn't been said already? His name's synonymous with the Mr. Olympia title over the past 7 years because he's won every single one of them. Tonight he looks to break Arnold Schwarzenegger's record of 7 titles and tries to tie the all-time record of Lee Haney's 8 titles. He's won every event he's entered except one since 1998. And you know what, folks? The Bible was wrong. On the 7th day, God didn't rest. On the 7th day, God created Ronnie Coleman.
Well, Dan, he's not shy on confidence, is he?
Rockies path to victory will be categorically defeated.
Ronald Dean Coleman, the oldest athlete in the show, looking for 8 consecutive titles. He's got 25 professional wins to his credit. Currently tied with Arnold gunning for Haney.
This is his 12th appearance. Actually, this is his 13th appearance, I believe, tying myself along with the great Albert Beckles for a number of appearances here, but he's getting ready to try and tie Lee Haney the Great with 8 victories.
Continue formalities. You bringing a knife to a gunfight with that shit. Break out the arsenal, yo, and do the damn thing. So what's up? Ain't nothing but a peanut.
Ronnie Coleman, his famous tagline, nothing but a peanut. That's what he calls the 200-pound dumbbells he toys with in the gym.
Well, Ronnie Coleman gets up to about 320 pounds in the offseason. He has not competed since last year, and it looks like he's used his time off very productively, Sean.
Well, at 41 years old, he doesn't look like he's slowing down. He's managed to remain injury-free and yet continually surprise us with responding to his critics. A year ago, they said the guy was a little too heavy, a little too bloated. The new mandate came down to streamline the waistlines. He dropped about 15 pounds for this competition, Dan. But I tell you, if he dropped it, I don't know where it came from.
Well, year in and year out, all the so-called experts try to come up with scenarios and reasons why Ronnie is going to be defeated, but it seems like when he arrives here on stage in Las Vegas, he turns around, hits those back shots, and it's, as he says, lights out, game over.
Well, not only the back, but look at the thighs. I mean, we have a Crazy Legs award. The thighs are ridiculous. He's got that old man muscle at 41 years old, but he ain't slowing down. Jay Cutler, he's got it by about 8 or 9 years, so there's a different type of muscle here we're looking at on Ronnie Coleman. It's a very mature, very dense muscle, which sets him apart from the younger guys in this bodybuilding show.
You know, it's interesting, Ronnie Coleman was not always invincible when he first came up as a pro. His first 3 or so years, he never really sniffed a victory, so it's gotten to the point now where he's emerged to the top, but it wasn't a quick road.
No, and I was there for some of those. I mean, Ronnie was placing behind me at all of 210 pounds, but it took him a while to gain his stride. And I tell you what, when he hit his stride, Team Coleman put it together. And I tell you, man, every time I want to criticize a guy, I find something else that I can just give him praise for. At 41 years old, what he is doing is like what Lance Armstrong's done on the Tour de France.
Well, here on the pay-per-view show, we like to bring you information that you may have not known about the guys. And for Ronnie Coleman, back in 1986, he actually got a degree in accounting and graduated cum laude.
From Grambling University, no doubt. Look at those glutes.
Game over.
Ronnie Coleman just bringing the beef with confidence. I mean, I don't see what's going to slow him down in this pose down when it comes. He'll be there.
Ronnie Coleman, ladies and gentlemen. Those were our top 15 competitors. Now our remaining athletes in the competition will make a brief appearance on stage. Let's hear it right now for places 16 through 21. We want to bring them all on stage right now. Folks, these guys gave it their all. They are Chris Dim, Craig Richardson, Ronnie Raquel, Mike Sheridan, Quincy Taylor, and Alexander Fedorov. Guys, you have 30 seconds to do your thing. Places 16 through 21. One final time for Chris Dim, Craig Richardson, Ronnie Rocco, Mike Sheridan, Quincy Taylor, and Alexander Fedorov. Life is all about little victories, and even though they finished in places 16 through 21, tonight was a building block for these guys. You're going to see a lot more of them in the future. As we send it backstage to Triple H and Ronnie and Jay. Triple H, it's all yours.
With Jay Cutler. Jay, you were just sitting there watching Ronnie Coleman do his routine, intently watching every single move that he had, and I got to know, can you literally take the crown off of Ronnie Coleman's head?
Well, we'll see here in a few minutes. I think so.
This morning at the prejudging, it seemed to be extremely close. Do you feel it's that tight? I mean, do you feel like you're head-to-head right now?
Yeah, for sure.
Let's get Ronnie Coleman in here. Champ, you literally walked out there with the crown on your head. When you leave here tonight, you still going to be wearing it?
If it's God's plan, if it's in God's plan, yeah, that's the way it's going to be.
Do you feel this morning it was tight between the two of you? I know there was only 2 call-outs with 2 guys. It was you and Jay. It seemed like it was head-to-head. Do you feel it's that tight? Do you feel you're going to pull ahead?
Well, I always come into this show confident, very confident that I'm going to win, and I'll always just show up just to win. So wherever the chips fall, that's where they're going to be.
All right, guys. Jennifer, I'm going to throw it to you now. Here you go.
What?
I got Gunter here. You're the only guy in the lineup that took.
Yeah, this is for the people. That's good.
That was good.
All right, guys, thank you. I'm here with Gunter. You're 6'2", 300 pounds, and you're the only guy in the lineup to ever have taken the title away from Ronnie at the Show of Strength. Do you feel like you have the package this year to take that from Ronnie?
I think I can come close. But, of course I came here to win, but, Ronnie's in excellent shape too, so I can agree if he wins. But I think I can be really close, maybe even right behind him.
We never know who's going to take the Sandow home. And to my left, I have a massive mountain of muscle, Marcus, and you placed 5th last year. That's pretty good. And do you feel confident this year you might knock Ronnie off of his throne?
No, that's not my goal, to knock Ronnie from the throne. My goal is to come in the final again, and it will be fine when I do it next year, maybe.
Thank you, Marcus. Back to you, Dan.
Now, you know the great thing about the 40th anniversary is that this is incredible. Going back to the very beginning, the contestants.
People a little bit later on. But this is the 40th anniversary of Mr. Olympia, and it's truly amazing how far it has come. I did the very first World's Miss Olympia contest in Atlantic City, New Jersey. That started in 1980. This began in 1965. Larry Scott was the original winner, a great champion. He is incidentally here tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen,
and we're going to go back.
Las Vegas Councilman Lawrence Weekly. We have for Lawrence Weekly.
I'm standing here with Gustavo Badell. Gustavo, back in 2002, you finished 22nd place at this contest. You took a year off in 2003, and then last year you came back and nearly shocked the world.
Yes, I did 3rd place last year, 2000 Olympia forward. And I was, bodybuilding is, learning about more your body every day. And, I take 1 year off, and then I train extra hard, and thank God, qualified for the Olympia 2004 and the third. This year, I've been training extra hard again to look even better for this year.
Gustavo, last year, you actually entered the challenge round. You were 4th place. You ended up leapfrogging Dexter. A lot of people felt that was a bit controversial, but I know you were back here to make a point.
Controversial was because nobody knows my name at that time. But bodybuilding is like this. It's not about talk. It's about work. And I work extra hard. And I beat back Dexter Jackson because at that time I looked better than them. That said, bodybuilding challenge round is the same sport. It's not different.
Well, Gustavo, congratulations. You're back tonight. I know you're looking phenomenal, and we look forward to seeing how the contest results play out later on in the show. But last night there was some action on the Olympia stage as well. The Miss Fitness Olympia and the Miss Figure contest was staged here, and also the Miss Olympia bodybuilding contest. And Miss Fitness, Adela Garcia was back to defend her title, and Devana Medina was looking for some action in figure. Let's go ahead and take a look at what happened.
The Miss Fitness competition was a true crowd pleaser, especially when the routine queen, Jenny Hendershot, peeled off her banana suit and put on a display of poise and personality and absolutely phenomenal core muscle strength. She set the bar high. But Kim, she's so fine, you'll blow your mind. Kim Klein gave the judges plenty to think about with an electric routine that mesmerized everyone, a combination of strength and athleticism. Hendershot's posing routine was the stuff champions are made of. Classy, sassy, in your face. Klein was just as good, just as precise, just as entertaining, making the judges' decision a tough one. But in the end, Miss Fitness Olympia title belonged to Jenny Hendershot, and the Chiquita Banana Company may have found a new spokesperson. The Miss Figure competition wowed the crowd. Jenny Lynn made a statement with her pleasing blend of symmetry, muscularity, and pulchritude. But was a routine good enough to unseat two-time defending champion Devana Medina, a funky cold Medina who had her eyes on the prize? Another title by no means a fait accompli. Then enter the popular and talented Monica Brandt Peckham, who gave the judges plenty to think about when she took center stage alongside Medina and Lynn. When the smoke cleared and the pose down was history, Devana Medina was part of Olympia history as well, winning her 3rd consecutive title. Earlier this afternoon, Miss Olympia was crowned in what boiled down to a battle between a pair of heavyweights. Iris Kyle, a 2-1 favorite and winner last year's heavyweight division and the overall title. Iris, 31 years old and absolutely ripped. Her competition was no stranger. Venezuela's Yaxeni Oraquin, 5'7", 165 pounds of solid muscle, competing in her 8th Olympia. The powerful pair squared off in the pose down to let the judges decide. Was there an upset in the making? There was. Oraquin defeated Kyle to win her 1st Olympia title. The top 10 in numerical order.
They are Melvin Anthony, Dennis James, Victor Martinez, Branch Warren, Gunther Schlierkamp, Jay Cutler, Gustavo Badell, Daram Charles, Mustafa Muhammad, and Ronnie Coleman. Ladies and gentlemen, your top 10.
Go, Cutler!
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for the Viotech Best Wheels Award.
And you're going to love this.
The award will be presented by Vince Candice, Spiro Candice, and Sean from Viotech. To the winner of the Best Wheels Award, Jay Cutler.
Show him off, Jay. A check from Viotech for $10,000.
Gotta have good wheels just to pick up that check.
Right. All right, Jake, congratulations. To give out awards, places 10 through 6, we please welcome the president of the International Federation of Bodybuilding, Mr. Ben Weeder. We are ready one last time. Okay. In 10th place, Mustafa Muhammad. In 9th place, Darum Charles.
Ladies and gentlemen, in 8th place, Branch Warren. In 7th place, simply marvelous, Melvin Anthony.
And in 6th place, Dennis James. Places 6 through 10. Ladies and gentlemen, the top 5 for this year's Mr. Olympia crown.
Ladies and gentlemen, your top 5 guys, if you can hit a couple of poses. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We're going to come off stage now.
Now to the 10 through 7 and 10 through 6. Quite frankly, there was some surprises, Sean.
There were, but they all deserve to be there. They got the top 10 correct. I mean, granted, the guy in 11th, the guy in 12th have got to be kicking themselves and wondering what they got to do to get in that top 10. But the top 10 guys, that's the best we have to offer in our sport, and they all deserve to be there, rightfully so.
Now, judging a contest of this magnitude is not easy, but I want to point a couple things out. Melvin Anthony, Darren Charles, they get compared a lot. For some reason this afternoon at the preliminary judging, Melvin Anthony and Darren Charles were not compared.
Well, the bottom line is, I mean, when you think the judges aren't looking, they really are. Sometimes you don't need them to stand next to each other to know which guy is going to be where. But sometimes one of the guys is going to be compared to a guy that we consider superior or another guy inferior. But at the end of the day, we got seasoned judges that know what they're doing, and we can never really figure it out. I mean, I'm sure for a lot of people, the top 10 might have been different than the top 10 that we have here tonight, with the exception of a few individuals.
Mustafa Muhammad cracked the top 10.
Well, Mustafa definitely got his act together. Again, this guy flew all the way from Jordan, spent 2 months in California training at Milo Sarchev's Coliseum gym, away from his family and friends. To him, this is a dream come true.
Mr. Momentum, Brant Sworn, he won his 2 contests coming into the show, and he got into the 8th spot.
The comeback bodybuilder of the year. I actually made the statement that it might be harder for him here to crack the top 10 than it would be for him to win those other contests. He proved me wrong here tonight.
Well, we actually had an interesting presentation earlier. The Ultimate Fighting Championships took place, and we're going to go ahead and check out some of that UFC action. Let's go to it.
Well, what I'd like to tell you about the UFC, man, these guys are coming on strong.
Earlier today, Eddie Bravo took on Louis Rivera. It was Bravo winning. And Sean, you watch a lot of UFC fighting. I know it's one of the more entertaining brands of combat.
A lot of those guys actually work out with weights. They follow the routines of the professional bodybuilders and the diets, and then they go in the gym and they wrestle, they box, they do karate, they do all these martial arts. And this stuff is legit as it comes, man. I mean, these guys are animals.
In the other bout, it was Paul Chandler versus Ziggy, and Chandler collected the win there.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. People were glued to the cage. The octagon is becoming more and more popular. What's great about it is it's merging 2 sports, bodybuilding, which builds the body and strengthens the body, along with fighting, grappling, martial arts, boxing. I mean, these guys are learning how to condition themselves and build their bodies the same way that bodybuilders do. Like Triple H said, he was bodybuilding since he was 14 years old. It's easy to cross sports in order to get the strength that you need.
And in the third bout, it was Eddie Bravo taking on Paul Chandler again, and Bravo won that match, and that wrapped up this afternoon's UFC showdown here at the Olympia. It was a special presentation.
Well, I tell you what, it was nice to have the influx of the UFC fighters come into our sport, because they brought their fans and they brought their friends and their families to see what we do for a living. And we're going to support them the same way they support us. It's all about building the body. At the end of the day, it's about health and fitness.
Olympia Weekend is certainly a very diverse collection of athleticism and so forth, and it was all on display. But tonight we're here to talk about bodybuilding. So far, how's the show going?
It's going great, Dan. I mean, the top 10 is pretty much kind of how I called it. There's a few disappointments. Some of the guys missed their peak. Chris Cormier was clearly off, but I mean, it happens. Same with Marcus Rule.
Let's go back out front.
All right, thank you, Sean. A trip down memory lane, and we're going to send it backstage.
All right, and Triple H is going to take it from here backstage. Triple H.
Yeah, man. Last year we introduced the challenge round, and it's back again this year. The big difference, though, is we have a special team of judges, and we'd like to introduce them to you right now. Former champions all, and we'd like you to acknowledge them. First, the man they called the Myth. A lat spread that could cause a total eclipse. Sergio Oliva. The man who got all this wonderful madness started and was the very first Mr. Olympia champion, who looks almost as good as he did 40 years ago, Larry Scott. This guy is old school, blood and guts, the Shadow, six-time champion Dorian Yates. Pound for pound, maybe one of the best bodybuilders ever. 175 pounds. He was the first guy to come into a competition absolutely shred, and he was known for his just beautiful posing routines. Frank Zane. And last, but certainly not least, in 1983, he was Mr. Olympia, the Lion of Lebanon, Samir Bannout. Gentlemen, it is great to see you all again. And Triple H, if you'll join me up here, we'll explain the challenge round rules. History was made, of course, last year, and it will never be the same. Not only were we able to see the best of the best call each other out, but they were absolutely go toe-to-toe with one another.
Yeah, they were, and they're going to do it again tonight. It's a little bit different this year. The challenge round is going to take place, and it doesn't actually count towards being Mr. Olympia in itself. The points don't actually count, but there is $50,000 at stake, with the winner taking $25,000. What you're going to see is the top 5 guys from tonight's show come out here, and they have an opportunity to call each other out and call one pose against each other. The winner gets a point. One with the most points, he's your challenge round king, and he's $25,000 richer.
Sounds like a plan.
It sounds like a hell of a plan.
Let's introduce the top 5. No particular order, go ahead.
Gunther Schlierkamp.
Gustavo Badell.
Jay Cutler.
Victor Martinez.
And Ronnie Coleman.
Once again, first place, $25,000. Second place, $10,000. Third place, $8,000. Fourth place, $5,000. Fifth place, $2,000. Frank, Samir, Sergio, Larry, Dorian, do your thing.
Who's ready for a challenge round? Victor, big dance. We're going to start with you, my friend, up front here. And you're going to start out with Gunther Schlierkamp. It's your choice, my friend. What's it going to be, Gunther? Step on up. What's it going to be to chop the big smiley giant down?
Side tricep.
Side tricep. Thank you. What do you think? You make the call. And our legendary judges say nothing, apparently. Jay Cutler, nope, Victor, you stay up. You're gonna run the gamut here. Let's move on up face to face. Jay seems to think he's chomping at the bit of being Mr. Olympia here. What's it gonna be?
Back double bicep.
Back double bicep. Thank you. I'm sure you all have your opinion, but let's get the one that counts. Judges. Jay Cutler. Gustavo Badell, please come up to the front. Victor. You lost the last two, man. I need you to whip up something good here. What's it gonna be, Gustavo Badell?
This is worse than the Bush election.
Watch your hanging Chad.
Ab and thigh.
Abs and thighs. Listen, people, what are you going to say? Judges? Gustavo Badell. Victor? I don't want to say this is terrible, but Ronnie Coleman's coming up here. Smoke his ass, Victor. I know you can do it. Now, come on. What's it going to be? Do it. Call it.
Front double bicep.
Front double bicep. I think he's got it. Thank you. This is a tight one. Judges. Ronnie Coleman. Hard to beat the king. Thank you, Victor. Actually, stay right here. Because now it's Gunter Slierkamp's turn. Gunter. Victor tried to take you down with a side tricep. You took the point. What's it going to be to get you another one?
Side tricep.
I could say side tricep, but...
Gunter, let's not be a smart bodybuilder now.
The last time you said smiling is not a challenge, so... Yeah, but it is. It wins a lot of hearts.
Well, you don't want to win the hearts, you want to win a point. You want to win $25,000, so what's it going to be?
Let's go for the most muscular.
Most muscular. That, my friends, is a lot of beef. Judges. side tricep. She should have called side tricep. Jay.
This ought to be good.
Gunter's not playing around. Back double bicep. Okay. Our illustrious Olympia judges are yelling something to me that I have no idea what they're talking about, so... Sergio, the cameras are on you. Just hit a pose. Bullshit! Ladies and gentlemen, now don't get upset about this because these guys are all legends over here. You got Sergio Oliva, Samir, Frank Zane, these are the biggest legends in this sport, but apparently somebody else pushed the wrong button. Victor, I'm sorry to say it, but that most muscular point went to Gunther. Now,
so change the scoreboard, please.
The question is, were you just yelling at me or were you watching that back double bicep shot? Do I need to do it again? We need to do it again, guys. Back double bicep. Thank you. Judges. Hold on. It's not that I don't trust you, but is that accurate? Having a good time? Ladies and gentlemen, Sergio Oliva is telling me Jay Cutler. I'm going with the myth. They made a mistake. The point goes to Jay Cutler. Hey, when they said challenge round, they meant challenging for me. Get it? Gustavo Badell.
Challenging for the scores back there.
Gunther, Gustavo, looks pretty on to me. Where you going, big man?
Lat spread.
Lat spread. Front lat spread. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Brian Yates and crew. Wait for it. Wait for it. accurate, Gustavo Badell. Ronnie Coleman. Gunther says abs, thighs, and smile. Judges. Actually, it's Ronnie Coleman. There you go. Ronnie Coleman. Jay, you're up. Barrel of laughs. Here we go. All right, you and Victor Martinez, what's it gonna be?
Rear double bicep.
Rear double bicep. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. What's your choice? What's it gonna be? And the judges say Victor Martinez against Jay Cutler. I guess the point goes to Jay Cutler, even though he wasn't doing it against Gustavo Badell. Gunther. What's it going to be, Jay?
Well, we get 2 shots, rear double bicep.
Judges. Jay Cutler. Gustavo. Jay, what's it gonna be?
Most muscular.
Most muscular with Gustavo Badell. Thank you. Judges. Gustavo Badell. Ronnie Coleman. Jay Cutler. Standing side by side once again. Jay, what are you going to do to knock the king off his throne?
Side tricep.
Side tricep. And the rivalry continues. Judges, what's it gonna be? Folks, what do you say? What? Cutler. Gustavo, you're up. Gustavo, here we go against Victor Martinez. What's it gonna be?
Abs and thighs.
Abs and thighs. Thank you, gentlemen. Judges. Gustavo Badell. Gunter. Gustavo, what's it going to be against a giant?
Side chest.
Side chest. Judges. Larry Scott, what's it going to be? Thank you. The anticipation is killing me. Gunter Schlierkamp. Jay. It's Gustavo. Gustavo, what's it going to be? Jay Cutler.
Most muscular.
Most muscular. Judges. Gustavo Badell. Ronnie Coleman. You got the king. What's it going to be?
Side triceps.
Side tricep. Thank you. Judges. Gustavo Badell. Ronnie, if you could stay there. Victor Martinez. Ronnie, what's it going to be with Victor? Rear double bicep. Thank you. Judges.
Ronnie Coleman. Cutler. What you gonna be, big man? Rear lat spread. To the judges, Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler. What's it gonna be, Kingpin? Most muscular. What's it gonna be, people? Who is it? Say it. Who do you want? That's one hell of a lot of beef. Judges. Ronnie Coleman. Gustavo Badell. Last shot, Ronnie, what's it gonna be? Yeah, go ahead.
Rear double bicep.
Rear double bicep. Judges. Judges. Ronnie Coleman. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a tie. Can you show me the scores, please? We have a tie between Ronnie Coleman and Gustavo Badell. If you can both come up front, we're going to have a sudden death pose off between the two of you to decide our challenge round winner. Guys, I'm gonna give you a little pose down. Go for it. We're gonna let the judges vote. Go. Thank you, guys. It's in the hands of the judges. Who is $25,000 richer? Who is our challenge winner? Judges, Gustavo Badell. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the challenge round will be presented as award by David Pecker. Ladies and gentlemen, Gustavo Badell.
Triple H. Nice job, my man.
Hey,
nice job.
Take it away. I'm just going to follow them.
It has been an extreme, and give a hand one more time for our 5 finalists there. It has been a long, long night. It has been a long, long night for them, and we're going to ask them to come out again. But before we do, our 40th anniversary of the Mr. Olympia competition just wouldn't be the same if it weren't for the man who helped put this event on the map. He needs no introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome 7-time champion Arnold Schwarzenegger.
And bringing out Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mr. Joe Weider.
Well, good evening, everybody. Let's hear it for Joe Weider. Come on.
Joe Weider, Arnold Schwarzenegger, please.
Well, last week, I saw Joe Weider at a function in Los Angeles. And I said to him, Joe, I'm going to see you next week at the Mr. Olympia competition. And Joe said, I don't think I'm going to make it. I don't think I'm still tired from the operation. You know, he got an operation, a huge back operation, a year ago. So he's still recuperating. He's working out already and everything, but he didn't want to come because he doesn't like the idea that you will see him walking a little bit more fragile and so on. So I said to him, Joe, you know something? I'm not going to go to the Mr. Olympia unless you go with me. And so then he committed. He says, okay, then I'm coming. So anyway, we came here together, and I wanted to bring Joe out here because this is, after all, the 40th anniversary of the Mr. Olympia competition. And it was this man here that created the Mr. Olympia contest in 1965. So for that, a big hand to Joe Weider for creating this great competition here. And I want to also not only say thank you to Joe in front of all of you, say thank you very much for creating this best competition, the most incredible athletes, the most inspiration that you have given to bodybuilding over this so many years, and your generosity that you have shown. And I also want to thank you so much for bringing me over to this country. It was Joe Weider that brought me over here in 1968. I wouldn't be here, I wouldn't have had the success if it wouldn't have been for this man here, for Joe Weider, for his great generosity. Absolutely. So I want to thank all of you for being here today, and I want to congratulate the great athletes that are here on stage. I want to again say thank you to the judges and to Triple H for doing such an incredible job emceeing. It's always great to see you here. And now, Joe, I want you also to say a few words. Come on, go ahead. I mean, here's the script. No, just a joke.
I want to tell you all that I was in love with bodybuilding since I was 13. I loved you all. Yes, you are my heroes. I love you. I wouldn't be able to do anything without you. God bless all of you. Long life and good training.
Very good. Bravo. Thank you, Joe. It's great to see you again, to be out here with all the people. Let's hear it back again for Joe Weider, our great champion, trainer of champions. Thank you very much, and we'll be back. Thank you.
Generations of Mr. Olympians, Francis Serrano, Larry Scott, Sergio Oliva, Dorian Yates, the one and only Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the man that created all of this, that is allowing you to stand in this building today and watch this, Mr. Joe Weider. Hey, just for me personally, I want one to shot with us. Come on, if you guys are up here, you'd be doing it too.
To my left was once thought invincible, of course, 7-time Mr. Olympia, Ronnie Coleman. The man to my right is one of the fastest rising stars in bodybuilding, Gustavo Badell. Gustavo, you just defeated Ronnie in the challenge round. I'm going to put the microphone in front of your face right now. I know at the press conference you had some heavy words for Ronnie, and you backed it up.
Well, I always respect Ronnie. Ronnie is always a gentleman. We're friends. But eventually he's a champion. He won 7 times, and he's here to compete, to try to get another one. But I'm hungry. I'm 32, of course. Eventually it's going down because, the age. And I'm trying to do is be compared, next to him because he's a champion and I admire him very well.
Gustavo, you are a class act, but you just beat Ronnie in the challenge round. What would it mean to go ahead and win this whole thing?
Well, it means that I've been working extra hard to try to be better this year, and I prove it to everyone that I got a strong poses too. So Ronnie is the champion, but I want to be the champion too.
7-time Mr. Olympia, Ronnie Coleman. Gustavo is very confident.
Well, that's why I'm here, to be confident, and so am I.
Well, realistically, you can't be happy right now. Obviously, you're considered the greatest bodybuilder on the planet, and this youngster just came along and beat you at your own game.
I don't think so. I don't see it that way. So they see it the way they want to see it. I see it the way I want to see it. So that's it. We'll see who wins the show. That's what it's all about.
Well, it will be interesting to see how it all plays out come contest time. I can tell you right now, the champ is not pleased with the outcome, and suddenly right now, Ronnie Coleman seems a bit vulnerable. Gustavo, do you have him on the ropes?
Well, it happens, but I'm hungry and I want to work extra hard, and I'm here for, I want to win the show. Of course, nobody likes to lose, but, eventually it's going to happen because I'm hungry, It's my time.
Thanks, Gustavo. We're going to go ahead and bring in Jay Cutler, who's standing by. Gustavo Badell has a lot of reason to be confident. And realistically, I know Jay feels like he's got a real good shot. So suddenly Ronnie has 2 guys on his tail, and here comes Jay. Jay, why don't you come on in? We just finished the challenge round. First of all, thoughts on the challenge round?
Another year of wasted time.
So you are not a fan of the structure of the challenge round. You don't think it's good for the game?
No, we need to scrap this thing.
Jay Cutler says scratch the challenge round. On to business. Can you beat Ronnie tonight?
Of course. I've been saying that for years, right? That's why I'm here.
What would it mean for you? I mean, Jay, let's be honest. We've been talking about it for years that you can be the heir apparent. But let's be honest, you're here tonight. You're in tremendous shape. So is Ronnie. Given the package you presented tonight, can you beat Ronnie tonight?
Yeah.
Jay's confident. Jay thinks he's got a shot. Now, let's be honest. We talk about Ronnie Coleman. We talk about the back structure. We talk about his glutes. We talk about the hamstrings. Did you beat Ronnie tonight, top to bottom?
I beat him on the back shots. That's what he's known for, and I beat him on them. So I win the show.
Thanks, Jay. We're going to go out front.
Specifically formulated to ignite the natural testosterone, ensuring you get the maximum workout. So we're trying to do a little bit of biotech, because without testosterone, you might get to the mountain, but you'll never get to the top.
Are we ready?
Thanks, guys.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, and Triple H, I know you will echo these sentiments. It has been a long night for these guys.
It has been a long night, and now we are at that time. We're going to get down to the meat and potatoes of this thing. We're going to find out who is Mr. Olympia. So if we can have our top 5 come back out on the stage.
Once again, Victor Martinez, Gunther Schlierkamp, Jay Cutler, Ronnie Coleman, and Gustavo Badell. Jim Mannion, the IFB be vice president of the pro division. We'll call out our competitors.
Or somebody else will do it, Jim. You know,
It's up to you. Have you guys flipped the coin back there? It's usually...
The man with the microphone will now call out the poses once we actually have competitors.
It's the last time they'll be posing on this stage tonight. And give them a hand. This began early this morning at the prejudging competition.
Let's hear it for your top 5. This is what this whole weekend has been about.
To be able to sustain this kind of energy for this long, to stay focused, incredible. Here we go.
We need to switch a couple guys around here. Gustavo, would you switch with Jay, please? That'll make it a little easier for us here. Okay, guys, quarter turn to your right, please. And another quarter turn. And another quarter turn, please. Face front. Gentlemen, front double bicep. Lat spread. Side chest. Back double bicep. Lat spread.
On stage.
Side tricep. Abdominal thigh. Gentlemen, your favorite, most muscular, please. And if you've got anything left after the challenge round in this, pose down.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Who's it gonna be, people? What? Who is gonna be the 2005 Mr. Olympia?
An amazing array of talent. Last year was the closest competition ever. What will this year be? Take one last long look.
What do you think, people?
They gave it up for you, give it up for them.
The award for 5th place will be presented by Nutrex, Spike, Physogen, and Nautilus.
And our 5th place finisher, Victor Martinez.
Ladies and gentlemen, the man that Ronnie Coleman said is the next guy to take his place, Victor Martinez. Let's hear it.
This will look very good on his resume, Triple H. All right.
Thank you.
To present the 4th place award from EAS, GNC, Gold's Gym, and Chef Joff. Come on out.
The award for 4th place goes to Gunther Schlierkamp.
Chef Jason.
Got to admit that Gunther Schlierkamp has never come to an Olympia in as great a shape as he was tonight.
No, he was on, definitely. We are down to the top 3, the inner circle of bodybuilding. The award for 3rd place will be presented by Crealkaline, Sand, Road to the Pros, Optimum Nutrition, and Bodyonics.
And our 3rd place finisher here at the 2005 Mr. Olympia, Gustavo Badell.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gustavo Badell.
What a night he had. And Jay Cutler and Ronnie Coleman, will you please take center stage? And to present the award for second place from Biotech, Metrics, Twin Lab, and Ultimate Nutrition.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has come down to this before. Here we are again, the two best bodybuilders in the world, Jay Cutler and Ronnie Coleman. And the award for second place goes to Jay Cutler.
An amazing scene. And ladies and gentlemen, to present the first place trophy, present the Sandow Trophy from Muscle Tech and Bulk Nutrition.
The 2005 Mr. Olympia, Ronnie Coleman! Ladies and gentlemen, the King of Kings, Ronnie Coleman!
He has tied Lee Haney's record 8 Mr. Olympia titles.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think Ben Weeder just said it best by saying Ronnie Coleman will go down in history as the greatest Mr. Olympia of all time. 8-time Mr. Olympia, Ronnie Coleman.
Also acknowledge for letting me win last year, because I didn't get a chance to say what I wanted to say, because Arnold had the mic. So I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and say this win.
Benny.
Y'all God, Jesus, get to know him. He can do some major things for you. Back in 1986, I graduated college, thought I was on the easy street with a degree in accounting, with a 3.3 GPA, and I just knew my life was on the road. I ended up delivering pizzas and throwing newspapers. And I was about to give up, but I didn't, because my mom always told me that there was a God in heaven that has a plan for each and every one of us, and she told us from day one, and I stuck with it. In 1987, I was still delivering pieces. In 1988, I was still delivering pieces, but I was praying hard each and every night, and I never gave up. And in 1989, the same thing happened. But like I said, I never gave up, and I continued to pray, to keep my faith in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. In 1990, my life took a change forever when I met Brian Dobson, who told me that I could be the best bodybuilder in the world. And here I am. Because God led Brian into my life, I am still the best bodybuilder that Brian always said that I would become. So my message to each and every one of y'all is, let's start being good to one another. Let's start putting our faith in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Let's start making this world a better place to stay. And let's try to get along with one another, because God has a plan for each and every one of y'all. And there's something that He has in store for you that you never know what it is until you just keep your faith in Him, and you keep striving, you keep working hard, you stay dedicated, you stay faithful, and you keep your prayers going every night, and you just try to do the right thing. But the most important thing of all, keep your faith in God. God will lead you to greater heights than you would ever have imagined in your life. I never ever thought I'd become Mr. Olympia, but God had a plan for me, and hey, I'm carrying it out, and I'm enjoying it. This is the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. This is my job and my hobby, and it's because that I kept my faith in God. So what I want to say to y'all is, please keep your faith in God. Keep praying. Never give up on your dreams. God has a plan for each and every one of y'all. And hey, never give up. Never give up.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it one more time for the 8-time Mr. Olympia, the man, the great one, Ronnie Coleman.
Well, for the 8th time, we had to sit there and watch 300 pounds of Ronnie Coleman collapse in victory. And for the 4th time, Jay, you had to settle for second best.
I'm a loss of words right now. I don't have much to say because I don't agree with the decision. And I don't know, it's hard for me to swallow this one.
At any point in this fight, did you think that you were actually going to win this contest?
Yeah, me and a whole lot of other people in this audience, and they wanted to see it change, but obviously they don't want to change things. So,
do you feel there's something you got to do to your physique to change, or that Ronnie's got to screw up in order for you to knock him off?
No, it's just the Mr. Olympia, man. It just seems like this don't want to give it to anyone else,
I mean, Jay, is it that simple? Is it a clear case that if you are Mr. Olympia and you show up here, you're going to win, period?
Yeah, I feel so.
Well, does it take any steam out? I mean, you're a 3-time Arnold Classic champion, obviously a 4-time first runner-up. There's no satisfaction in coming in second. The Jay Cutler I know more than likely will be back next year.
We'll see, Right now, it's, you don't want to do anything, You don't even want to think about competing again at this point. What's the point if I'm just going to come to, like one more title win in my book, and I thought I was going to win it tonight and close the chapter, and that'd be it,
Well, the one thing I know, Jay, you've got youth on your side. I know Kevin Lavroni, a 4-time first runner-up, Flex Wheeler, 3-time first runner-up, even Rich Gaspari 3 times, Lila Brada 2 times. It's got to be frustrating, but there's something in that Jay Cutler machine the fans and the world love about you, in spite of the results here at the Mr. Olympia. That's going to have to pick you up after tonight.
Yeah, we'll see, It's just hard to swallow right now, like I said.
Thanks, Jay. Appreciate you taking the time.
Jay Cutler, cut above a study in focus. This guy is heartbroken. training for 1 year for one show. I've been there, Dave. I've been there, Jan.
Well, you know, Sean, you hit the nail on the head because it has been an entire year for Jay. Jay took the whole year off, and for the entirety of the year, Jay was gunning for tonight, and he wasn't here to finish second place. Second place for a lot of guys is a big day, but for Jay, he's had enough of it.
And looking in his eyes, I mean, I could feel I'm like at a loss of words because I can feel how close he was. I mean, that holy grail, the Sandow Trophy that Joe Weider created 40 years ago, and 4 times there's one individual and a couple of measly points separating it. He's not even thinking about the amount of money he won here tonight, nor the impact that he made in the improvements from 1 year ago. He's devastated.
40 Mr. Olympias and still just 10 champions. We're going to go back to Mike.
Well, Triple H, you just have to feel for Jay Cutler. He came in probably the greatest shape of his life, maybe better than he was a year ago when he came so close to beating Ronnie Coleman.
He did. He came in the greatest shape of his life. Unfortunately, I think so did Ronnie Coleman. And, when Ronnie Coleman is on, it's been said in the past, when Ronnie Coleman is on, he's pretty hard to beat.
And it's a little bit like the old boxing adage, to be the champion, become the next champion, you have to knock out the current champion. Jay Cutler threw a lot of great punches tonight, but not enough to knock out Ronnie Coleman.
He had the champ against the ropes. He had him going, but, when it all came down, push came to shove, Ronnie Coleman was still standing at the top of the heap.
Quickly, off the top of your head, do you think that Coleman goes for number 9 and tries to own the record outright?
I think Coleman goes for number 9, and if history's any message, I think we're going to see that Ronnie Coleman will succeed. And like Ben Weider said, I think he summed it up perfectly, Ronnie Coleman will go down as the greatest bodybuilder in history.
Well, so with the 40th anniversary of the Mr. Olympia competition, Triple H, it's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. Pleasure's been mine. I feel like we went through war together, but we came out on top.
We did tonight, and we were so glad that you could join us. Once again, Ronnie Coleman, the 2005 champion of the Mr. Olympia title, the most coveted title in bodybuilding. Good night, everyone.